It was another win for Aston Villa, 2-1 it would finish. That is 10 wins in a row in all competitions for Unai Emery's men, 11 of 12 in the Premier League. This is how things are looking in the table. They stay third, they are back to within 3 points of Arsenal at the top of the table. Manchester United will spend Christmas in 7th and miss the chance to move above Liverpool in 5th by not taking anything away from this clash. Let's bring in Ian Darke. Frank Leboeuf is with us as well. We have to start by talking about Villa and just what they're doing right now and what Morgan Rogers is doing too, Craig.
Yeah, well, Villa didn't play well today. And, you know, they have that in them now and again, but they ground a result out. United were the better side. United pressed. But Villa found a way. Their passing was a little disjointed. They were a little hurried. And maybe that was down to United, who probably had one of their better performances in defeat with a lot of injuries and suspensions to Casemiro. But Villa ground this one out. And when you have a player with the capabilities of Morgan Rogers from Euro Club...
Yes, half a season.
At Middlesbrough, half a season up there. He's a strong runner with the ball. He's physical. He's really adding that end product. Great goals, goal scoring to his game. He's such a big threat. He's so difficult to sort of knock off the ball. He can play in several positions. And the 2 goals he scored, I mean, there was nothing in the game, really. When Villa scored that first goal, they hadn't really created anything. United had played the better football with Fernandes and Mason Mount and Luke Shaw stepping out and Mateus Cunha and Sesko's runs. They were playing the more controlled football, and then all of a sudden, bang, that goal goes in. And that's what he is. He's a special player. And listen, all things being equal, he will be in North America. There's no doubt about that. Will he be in the starting lineup for England? I think, you know, there's a big debate about who, because they have so many players. But he keeps doing what he's doing. You know, Villa are going to continue probably with their form. If he continues, it's a bit like Haaland, isn't it? It's a bit like Haaland, and it's a bit like 1 or 2 Arsenal players. If they lost those players, how would they cope? And he's such a big player for Villa that if something was to happen to him, he is so instrumental. How would they cope? I mean, I know they have Daniel Malin, they have Bundia to come in, but they're different type of players. And what he's doing for Unai Emery is just absolutely magnificent. I just love to see a young man with that talent showcasing it in the Premier League, and he's doing that with some aplomb.
Yes, to Craig's point, Ian, he is a game changer, and he is going to give Thomas Tuchel a lot to think about next summer.
Yeah, and he's very high in Thomas Tuchel's pecking order. Some would say ahead of Jude Bellingham, the way things are. Yeah, he is. He's a difference maker. Those are 2 world-class finishes. And so excited was Unai Emery that somebody's going to have to buy him a new coat for Christmas, I think. Flinging that in the air on that second goal. They were both beautiful goals. I mean, Craig's right. Villa weren't that good today, but when you've got a player like that who can produce something special, you can get 3 points even on a relatively bad day. Decent performance by Manchester United. I wouldn't argue with Ruben Amorim, who said after the game, I think we were the better team. We got nothing from it. We'll move on from that. But of course now, from Manchester United's point of view, they're going to lose Bruno Fernandes for, well, he said a few games. They're going to have to scan the injury, see how bad it is, but it didn't look great.
No, it didn't, and we're seeing afterwards that he said it's soft tissue damage and he'll be sidelined, as Ian said, for some games. I think it's going to be a while, said Ruben Amorim. That's a blow, isn't it, Frank, for Manchester United?
It is. Even if I, like the guys, think that Manchester United did well, and even in the second half without Bruno Fernandes, they cope with the situation. I think they were better than Aston Villa and deserve a better result. And that is very sad for Bruno Fernandes, but it's very sad for Manchester United because, well, you had a competition between 2 guys, Cunha and Morgan Rogers, and Cunha had, I think, 3 or 4 chances to score and scored only 1. When Morgan Rogers had 3 and scored 2. But that's going to be a blow for Manchester United without Bruno Fernandes in the middle of the park. I don't think that Lisandro Martinez can be the guy which can change something like Bruno Fernandes is capable of doing. But Manchester United is the better way in the way of how they play today. So they have to keep that in mind and make sure that they're going to get results the next week.
When you get a gem of a manager, you have to harness it and hang on to him, don't you? And Unai Emery's been around the block. I mean, he managed Arsenal, managed PSG. I think it was Sevilla, Villarreal. He was very successful in the Europa League. What he's done at Aston Villa is incredible. You know, I think he's the second manager Since 1905, I saw a stat today, only the second ever manager to have a two-time 10-game unbeaten run at Aston Villa. It's quite incredible. And you think about it, they didn't score in the first 4 goals of the season, first games of the season. They started when they started the season, I thought, oh, this Villa train is running out of steam. Mid-table, all the European football lately, players have stopped listening to Unai Emery, things are going to change. Because it was so flat at the start of the season, I don't think anybody saw this run of results coming. But when you have a manager with his experience, with his drive, with his knowledge of the game and an understanding of what he wants, and everybody's on board, this is what you get. And when you're a club like Aston Villa, you have to hang on to that, even through the bad times. You can't be making knee-jerk decisions because he is such a top-quality coach. And you look at where Villa have been in recent years, sometimes up and down at the Championship and struggle in the Premier League and little moments here and there. What he's doing at this football club is absolutely top drawer. As good as anybody else is doing in the Premier League with more. Arteta's doing it with a bigger budget. Guardiola's done it with better players. Klopp did it with, better players to a sense, and Arne Slot. Now, he's not won a Premier League, but he's in the hunt at the moment. And he is dragging every ounce out of this Villa squad. When it's, I can't say too much about it. What he's doing, you really have to tip your cap to what Unai Emery is doing at Aston Villa.
I totally agree with Craig, and especially knowing that he didn't change a team. He kept the players, he kept the tactic, he only worked on the mentality of the players. And on top of it, today, I thought they were 10 against 11. They have a passenger at front. Ollie Watkins is nowhere near it, the player that he used to be, and we don't see him, getting any confidence back. He will have to work on that also because you need a striker. Yeah, Morgan Rogers can do the job, and some others as well. In the middle of the park, Aston Villa are absolutely efficient and wonderful, but you have to do better with Watkins. And that's the biggest task that Unai Emery has to work on with Aston Villa right now.
I mean, just quickly, I'm not suggesting other managers are not intensely prepared, but I get the feeling he's as prepared.
He lives, sleeps and breathes it.
Yeah, and I read something, I don't know who it was, it might have been a commentator, probably was a commentator that said it, or I read it, one of the two. When he went into Aston Villa, amongst all the other players, he said to John McGinn, on the first day, I've seen your last 10 games and you've not been very good. He said, fortunately for you, I saw your previous 10 games before that and you were brilliant, so I know what you're all about. So he'd pretty much watched that whole squad. And he was able to go into Aston Villa, okay, it'd take a bit of time to turn that around, but he was basically, he could go into Aston Villa and he knew the strengths and weaknesses of everybody from day one. Now, it took a bit of time to get it going, but he didn't walk in blind and go, right, I need to look at him in training, I need to look at him in training. He said to him again, I've watched your last 10 games and that ain't good enough, but I've seen your previous ones, you're not bad, son.
And so to that point, with Morgan Rogers, he actually saw him in an FA Cup game for Middlesbrough against Villa, and he was like, I want that player, and he made it happen.
Was it 10 million or something like that?
I've got actually the exact amount that it was at the time, 15 million. Yeah.
Which is looking like
an absolute bargain.
What would he be? Before we go to Ian, what would that? I mean, at the moment, what age is Morgan Rogers? 20? I'm guessing 22, 23.
23.
23.
Yeah, 23.
He's got 10 years. If it's injury free, he's got 10 years potentially, or maybe a little more. But at your peak, that has to be. When you see what players are going for now, and you see his talent level, you're looking at well over 100 million. So for 15 million, what a bargain. Yes,
that's all this praise for Unai Emery, obviously identifying these players, knowing what's needed of this team and doing what he's doing with Villa, Ian.
Yeah, and of course he split with Monchi, who was the Svengali figure that he had at Sevilla. So I don't know what happened between those two, but it clearly hasn't disrupted Villa's rhythm. Just to add to Craig's point there, another player who played for Unai Emery said that, told the story about he used to stay up till midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, preparing little videos that would improve players that he'd send them on the phone. And one of the players said, I've had to buy some more popcorn to watch all these movies.
Yeah, well, Frank, I've got to give you your props. I don't know how much you meant it, but you did say Villa were in the title race a little while back.
Oh no! Did he say that at the start? Did you say?
I know.
No.
I know, and it wasn't a while ago. I said it after the Arsenal game, and I say, well, you cannot deny that they are in a race. Now, yeah, they can be the favorite because, when I see how they play, when I see Arsenal playing right now and Manchester City, why don't you want to give a chance to Aston Villa to win the Premier League? It's possible. They have the players. They also have the bench with Bundia and some others coming. So let's see how they go on the next two games. They go away against Chelsea and they go away against Arsenal. If they get some results, you will take me seriously, Mr. Craig Burley.
Are they in it?
I always take you seriously, but we always have a pretense that Frank said this at the start of the season.
What a story it would be, though. Unai Emery, obviously having been at Arsenal and then doing this with Villa.
I want them to be in the title race because I want as many teams as possible. A title race gets a bit dull and boring, but sometimes when there's two teams. Check Scottish football out for that. 40 years since another team outside the old firm have won the league. We've seen Leicester in the Premier League, which was an amazing story. We'll probably never see it again. Certainly not in England. But there's a big question. I just have this nagging doubt whether they can stay in it. When I saw some of the performance today and the misses from Cunha and others, and Sesko, and I know that can happen. When I saw the performance at Liverpool, when Liverpool were really, really struggling, Villa went up there and had a bad day and got beat. So they have that in them. Whether they can brush these days off with Morgan Rogers' special goals and go on and keep going, I don't know. I have this just little nagging doubt in my mind that there'll be just too many games where the squad's stretched a little thin and they'll just drop off the pace. I hope I'm wrong because I love, as I say, you probably gather this, I just love what he's doing at the football club, particularly without, Victor Lindelof playing today. Pau Torres was out. Lindelof comes in. He was discarded at Man United, even when he was there at the end. He couldn't get a game. Maatsen at left back. Digne's on the bench. Matty Cash, in and out the side for periods, but back in this season. So he hasn't gone out and, bought a 75 million, 60 million, a 90 million. He hasn't gone out and done that. He's worked on it, as Frank said. He's worked on the training field. He's improved. And we always say this. What has a manager done when he goes into a club? Has he just gone in, has he opened the chequebook and spent, or has he improved what is there? And whilst they've brought players in, he has improved what is there. There's no doubt about that.
Are they in the race for you, Ian?
Well, the maths say that they are. They're only 3 points off the top. Do I think they'll win it? No, but you've got to remember, we're talking about Aston Villa, and Craig mentioned Leicester there. Aston Villa aren't Leicester. They're bigger than that. This is a club that's won the European Cup, won titles, FA Cups, and they've got enough good players, I think, to sustain the challenge. I mean, I think the main thing for them, they'd settle for getting back into the Champions League, and since they're now 7 points clear of Chelsea, I think they're a pretty good bet to do that, don't you?
So where are we at with Manchester United before we wrap things up on this game?
I can see minute improvements in performance, and bearing in mind what they had available today, no Maguire, no De Ligt, no Casemiro, no Ahmed, no Mbuemo, and one or two others. Lost Fernandes basically before half-time when he was injured, and still managed to go to the informed team in the Premier League and outplay them for long periods. Now, they were wasteful in front of goal, and defensively, they, with this group of players, they look a bit weak. But I think they've improved the goalkeeping situation for now. I think they're more on board with what the manager wants. So they are looking better. There is no doubt about that. Now, where the end game is going to be, I don't know. I just don't know, because you have to take these performances and turn it into points. But I certainly think they look more combative and more competitive than they were, say, a month ago. And that's a positive for them. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be about results. But certainly in today's performance, with what they had on the field, a lot better. In defeat, a lot better.